Hi everyone, welcome to the first week of your 3 weeks becoming an executive virtual assistant training. And basically, this week we are going to be looking at the foundations, basically the foundations. So, right now I'll be sharing my screen. In the next like few seconds, I'll be sharing my screen. So, I want you to, stay tuned, make sure you listen, make sure you jot down, and make sure you ask your questions. See you. Welcome everyone once again. So over the next hour, we're going to transform how you think about virtual assistants. Yeah. How you think about virtual assistants. This is actually not just another virtual assistant course. It's about, you positioning yourself as a strategic partner to executives who are willing to pay premium rates to who are willing to pay premium rates because you deliver to them exceptional values. You get. So today we're covering the week one, and in week one we'll be talking about the foundation. And by the end of today's section, you understand exactly what separates an executive virtual assistant from everyone else in the market. And more importantly, you will know how to embody that difference. You get, that difference of you being an executive VA. So let's dive in. The module one, we'll be talking about what it truly means to become an executive virtual assistant. And let's start with the most important question. What actually is an executive virtual assistant, or who is an executive virtual assistant? And, I don't mean the job description. I mean what makes someone worth $100 per hour versus, an admin VA or a customer support VA that earns $20 per hour. You get. So that's what we're about to unpack. And first off, we'll be talking about understanding the VA hierarchy. Sorry, we're not done yet. Yes. Understanding the VA hierarchy. All right. Understanding the VA hierarchy. And here's the reality of the virtual assistant market. There are three distinct tiers. Or tiers. TIERS, that's what I mean. And most people never make it past the first one. I'm sure you would want to know what the first one is. Just sit with me. So let me show you why. So at the bottom of the tier is the general virtual assistants. And these are people doing data entry, basic data entry, basic scheduling, simple email management here and there and all of that. They are tax executors. We get. Nothing is actually wrong with this work. It's valuable. I mean, people still hire people, VAs, to actually get these tasks done for them. But the disheartening part is that you are not competing with thousands of others. So you are competing with thousands of others, others doing this same general VA, you get. And clients see you as they can, change you anytime they want, because I mean there is another general VA on Upwork or Fiverr ready to do what you are doing. Maybe you've been able to convince the client to pay you like $10 per hour. There is somebody on Fiverr or on Upwork desperate to accept the same tax you are doing for $5 per hour. So they see you as, they can easily get somebody else to replace you. And that is why the rates are, just like a peanut. I remember when I just started, someone has, told me they wanted to pay me $3 per hour before, or they wanted to do a particular task and they paid me. The guy wanted to pay me $3. Yes, it was a data entry role, and trust me, the entry was so much. The guy said $3 that's what he can do. Do you understand something like that? That's what being a general VA will do to you. You get, you will be paid for your time because they'll measure it as you can do this thing within this time now. You get, not your thinking. So you'll be paid for your time, not what you are bringing to the table, not your thinking, not your strategic thinking. You get. So moving on is the administrative VA. Now, as an admin VA, you're handling more complex work, more detailed scheduling, more detailed email management. You do travel coordination, expense tracking, inventory recording, all of those things. You might even work with, one, two, or three clients, but you need organizational system to, make sure all of that is, up and running. You get. And now you might be blessed enough to get a client that would want to pay you like $20 per hour, or it depends. It depends on your clients. There are some admin VA that still earn like $10 per hour. There are some that even earn like $5 per hour. So it depends on the clients you're actually working with. But you are still primarily executing tasks someone else has defined. So now we're moving to the elephant of the room, which is executive virtual assistants. Executive VAs are playing an entirely different game. And what I mean by that is that they are strategic partners to C-suite executives and founders and coaches. You get, and what you are doing as an EVA is you are making decisions on the behalf of these executives. You are thinking for them. You are not just doing. You are making decisions for them. You are literally stepping into their shoes to get the job done. You get. And because you work with maybe one or two clients maximum, because this level of work, you would actually, it's very, very important that you don't take more than you can chew. If your capacity is still like one client, one executive C-suite clients, just stick to that one. If you can do like, say like two, stick to that two. If your capacity is up to like three, you can go on. All in all, avoid being burnt out. Is very, very important, because if you are burnt out, you might lose the three clients. So it's very, very important that you stick to what you can do. Yeah. So because this level of work requires deep understanding of how they think, so you have to know how these executives actually think, what they value, and where they are going. So I can't imagine you having like 4 C-suites as executive. That's like you taking up 4 different behaviors of people. So you see that it is a whole lot of work. So you should not bite more than you can chew. If it is one you can do well with, please. If it is just 2, please just do 2. You get. So that's why executive VAs commands, they can earn like $50 per hour, $100 per hour, or even more. Yes, or even more. I have a coach and a friend that earns $150 per hour as an executive virtual assistant. Trust me, she didn't start today, because I know you people, you will not hear the whole work is the pay, is the dollars you want to earn that you are going to be sticking up to. She's like 3 4 years in the industry, and she's an executive virtual assistant now. She's also a coach, and she earns like one that I know of very well. She earns $150 per hour. She's being paid for it, so it is real. I myself have done a job that was paying me $80 per hour. Yes, $100 per hour as an executive virtual assistant. Actually, they don't come by like that, but these figures I'm calling, they're actually real. Yes, they are real. They are real. So why executives pay premium rates? I mean, that means that's the next thing we're going to. Why executives, C-suite executive, they pay executive virtual assistants premium rates. The major reason is just that their time is money. Their time as a C-suite executive is money. So if you are coming in as an executive virtual assistant, they are literally giving you the money. How should I put it now? They are literally giving you. So let's say there's a C-suite executive that maybe his or her time worth like $500 per hour. What I mean by what is that if he shifts his attention from the basic, not basic now, the major operations, like business operations, business activities, is going to cost him that amount. If he shifts his attention to, start doing travel coordination, in clearing his email and all of those things, it's going to cost him money because he has left his primary business activity. So as such, they don't care. They just want to, outsource it to somebody to get it done for them. You get? So this is exactly why executives pay premium rates. You are not expensive. You are just leveraging. Yes. Every hour you save them is an hour they can spend on high value activities. You get? So here is the key. I think I need to, just balance. Here is the key. You are not just taking tasks off their plates. You are not. Number one is that you multiply their effectiveness. You free them from low value tasks. Low value tasks are, email, their inbox is in a mess, email management, scheduling, travel, coordination, expense tracking, all of those things. You get? On a higher level, they are not basic task. You get? So you free them from all of those low value tasks so that they can focus on decisions that can actually move their business forward. And as an executive VA as well, you should anticipate needs. You should be proactive. So let's say there is a meeting coming up, you have to, come up with the meeting prep, meeting agenda before that executive even asks you. So you are basically helping them to create systems that will scale their business. You are helping them to create systems that will scale their business. And this is a mindset shift you need to make. You are not selling hours. You are selling outcomes. See, you can decide to be an admin VA and, they're just paying you for your tax, or a general VA for your time rather, and they are just paying you for your time. But an executive virtual assistant, you are selling outcomes. You are literally selling your, I don't want to use the word brain. Yes, because you are putting yourself in their shoes. Maybe the person is a CEO of an edutech startup, or you are putting you are assuming that role of an executive, of an of a CEO of a startup. So you are thinking for them. You are their partner. You get? And in return, they are ready to pay you if you are getting the job done. So let's move on without wasting too much time. Let's move on. Core roles of an executive virtual assistant. Now, let's get specific. What does an executive VA actually do? I'll break it down into, say like 3 or 4 roles. And if you master this, you will be worth every penny of those premium rates. Number one is you are a gatekeeper. This means you control access to the executive time. You know, I said it. You are literally putting yourself in their shoe, like you are them, they are you. Yes, you filter their communication, you decline meeting requests tactfully. Did you hear what I said? Tactfully. So there are some meeting requests that are not so valuable, that are not so important. You help them to, decline it, or you find the solution. Most times the solution might not be to decline. The solution might be that, okay, you can actually handle the meeting on their behalf. So you just step into that role. You become the first line of defense against their time. The major thing they are hiring you for is their time. They want to have all the time to focus on their own, on the major business activity. So you are the first line of defense of their time. And here is what's critical. You need the judgment to know what deserves their attention and what doesn't. I said that. Like, you are literally their life. So every decision you make can make or mar them. So make sure you're making decisions that will make them. Yes. The second one is that you are a thought partner. This is where a lot of virtual assistants miss the mark. Yes. You are not just following orders. I said it in the gatekeeper. So if you are not, maybe they've told you, just decline meetings that are not relevant and all of that. That does not mean you will keep declining meetings. No. There are some meetings that you will, after knowing the details of the meeting, and you see that it is important to the company or to the business brand, or to the personal brand, business or personal brand, be it what it may. You will step up, like step in to be in that meeting for them. So you have to be, you are not just, taking orders. You're understanding how your executive thinks, and you have to mirror that thinking. So you see that you are literally being them. You are literally being them. You challenge ideas constructively, ideas, decisions, name it. You challenge them constructively. You flag potential issues before they become problems. So you are proactive. You see it before them. You see it before them and call their attention to it. You ask clarifying questions that help refine their strategy. You become an extension of their brain. Yeah, before I was saying, okay, don't let me use brain, that you are selling your brain. You are actually, because you are them, they are you. So you actually become an extension of their own brain. So if something is an extension of something, it has to be able to mirror that thing. You get. So the third is you are a system builder. You don't just follow processes, you create them. You create the processes. For admin VAs, there's already a system, or like there's a process to follow. So they just hire them to follow it. But as an executive virtual assistant, you actually create those processes for them. You create the processes for them. You look at how things are currently being done and ask if there is a better way to actually do it. You come up with innovative, witty inventions, innovative thinking, how we can, you just keep you are constantly in the quest of making things better and better and better. You identify inefficiencies, you design workflows, you implement tools that eliminate friction from daily operations. You are constantly making the business run smoothly. So that is what a system builder does. We get. So the fourth is you are a time protector. Every single decision you make should start with this question: is this the best use of my executive time? You ruthlessly prioritize. So you see that softly, all of the things, because I know maybe you've attended one virtual assistant course or the other and all of that. And I'm very sure that all of these things, all of these skills that I'm mentioning are things that you have been, taught: time management, prioritization, all of those skills. So you will need them to come to play in this whole thing. So you ruthlessly prioritize, you batch similar activities together, you shield their focus time from interruption, you treat their time like the precious resources it is. So here are the four rules required. Here are the things. These four rules actually requires judgment, initiative, and trust, which bring us um to my next point, and that is the trust factor. Trust is your currency. One breach ends your career. One breach ends your career. Trust me, I'm not being dramatic. I'm just very honest. Trust is very important. So even put yourself in their shoes. So there is somebody that you hired to literally mirror you. If the trust you have in that person is breached, trust me, you will not be able to, you just let the person go. You get? So it's very important that you hold like that to chest. Think about what executives share with you: financial data, strategic plans, personal issues, confidential negotiation, legal matters. If any of these things leak, if you gossip about it to somebody that has a loose mouth and the person goes out to go and be talking about it, if you if you violate the confidence they have in you, even if it is just once, it is over. Not just that, the clients, not just with that client, but even in the industry, reputation travels very fast. So that is why most clients will come up with non-disclosure agreements. You have to sign it. I've worked with an Indian before that made me sign an NDA. NDA is non-disclosure agreement. He made me sign an NDA. Guess what is written in that NDA? He told me that if anything leaks, I'm going to pay him $10,000. Where will I get that kind of money? So above you looking at where will I get the money, you should also be a virtual assistant that holds confidentiality in high. It is very important. Because you've worked with a brand that you know their secrets and all of that, does not mean you should, sell them off because of money or because of whatever reasons, or because of maybe you just love gisting, and you didn't know when you just started gisting with a VA friend like you, and the person just spills and all of that. So you must demonstrate unwavering confidentiality. You must exercise sound judgments in ambiguous situations where there is no clear policy. You must show discretion in every single communication, and you must behave ethically in every interaction. Here is a simple rule: if you wouldn't want it done to you, don't do it on behalf of your executives. Never lie for them. Never cover up problems. I would share something about that lying. Yeah. I learned it by experience. So that same India guy that I said, I was working with him and we're supposed to attend a meeting. We used to attend meetings together actually. So he had already introduced me to his team that I'm his executive VA, so that if he's not there and I'm there, they can carry on with the meeting, that I would, give him the meeting minutes and all of that. So there was a particular day, his boss was also on that meeting, and the boss needed him to actually, reply to something and all of that. So they now asked me, they mentioned his name. Where is he? I lied for him. Who sent me work? I didn't say anything out of place. I just said that I think he's out of town or like he's in transit or something. I said something in that. That's how he just entered. He just joined the meeting. And the boss asked him again that your EVA said you are in transit and all of that. And he just said, or unknowingly, I think the boss actually threw the question to him in a way that he just answered. He didn't know what was happening. So he just answered. So the boss sha got to know that, okay, I covered up for him. And my client didn't like that at all. When we dropped the call, he didn't like that at all. He scolded me. So please, if they don't send you, don't lie for them. Don't cover up for them. Don't cover up problems. Don't misinterpret facts. Your own integrity sef is non-negotiable. You get? So you don't have to cover anything up for. Be as plain as possible. It's better not to even talk. I could have just said, oh, I'm not sure about that he was supposed to be in the meeting. I could have come up with something more constructive. He was supposed to be in the meeting. Maybe he's having network issues. You get? And we move on. So the good news is that when you demonstrate this high level of trustworthiness consistently, executive will give you access to everything. And that's when you become truly invaluable. So this will bring me to sharing somebody's story. I also read it online. So she was an executive virtual assistant and she had worked for this particular person for like, the person is not a Nigerian, I think for like 5-6 years, thereabouts. And because of her level of, work ethics, trustworthiness, confidentiality, everything, that person was actually promoted to being a partner in that company. Because in the executive words, it was like the girl knows the business, like it's even looking like she has now mastered the business more than him that is the founder. So there was nothing stopping him to actually promote him from being his executive virtual assistant to being a partner in the business. I've seen somebody that was promoted from being an EVA to being the HR specialist. That one is even in Nigeria. So you, in a way, being an executive virtual assistant is not in the league of, being a customer support VA, being an admin VA and all of that. You get? And trust me, I said it earlier, it's about experience. Nobody started as an executive VA. You must have, worked for it. So the next thing we're talking about is the executive virtual assistant mindset. We've talked about what an EVA does. Now let's talk about how an EVA thinks, because mindset is actually everything. You can have all the technical skills in the world, but if you don't think like an executive, you will never perform like one. You would agree with me, yeah? You would agree with me. So one of the biggest mistake new executive VAs make is thinking like an employee instead of thinking like a business partner. Before you take any action, train yourself to ask these 4 questions. As an EVA, before you take any action, train yourself to ask these 4 questions. And number 1 is, what outcome does this serve? Not what was I told to do, but what result are we trying to achieve? You should ask yourself that question. That is how a strategic partner will think. Number 2 is, how does this align with current priorities? How does it align? Is this urgent but not important? Is this important but not urgent? You need to know the difference. This is also where prioritization skills comes in, using the Eisenhower matrix. I don't know. Let me just say that. What is the opportunity cost? If your executives spend time on this, what are they not spending time on? And finally, what would my executive decide? This is where you start making decisions on their behalf. You see these 4 questions, they are not negotiable, because you are with somebody that wants outcome. So you should ask yourself, what outcome will this thing, give us? Yeah, with somebody that their time is gold. So you should learn how to prioritize. You should know the opportunity cost. I mean, you should know the opportunity cost, because you're also a part of that company, you are being paid. So you should definitely know the opportunity cost. What would my executive decide on? This is when you come, like you step into their shoe, you're thinking like them. You get, so to get good at this, you need to study your executive. You study them closely. Notice what they say yes to and what they decline. Understand their risk tolerance. Are they conservative or aggressive? Learn their communication preferences. Do they want details or just the bottom line? Internalize their values. What do they care about the most? These are things you should look into. Over time, you will start thinking like them. See, you will start thinking like them. You will know what they they would say before they even actually say it. That's when you become truly indispensable. That's when they trust you to make decisions without even checking in. Yes, you reach that level. And trust me, this is a process. It takes months. Sometimes it takes years. That's just it. Life is a process, not days. So don't become somebody's EVA now and you expect that, bam, in the next 1 month they are going to turn you. No, it's a process. But one thing is that if you are intentional about it, you have a goal you are looking at, you will get there. You will get there. You will get there. So moving on. Proactivity versus reactivity. Let me show you the clearest difference between someone who is just okay at this work and someone who is exceptional. Reactive virtual assistants wait for instructions. They respond to problems after they have happened. They are always asking, what should I do? Or what should we do? Or what's the next step? They manage tasks as they come in, always feeling behind, like they are not proactive. But executive virtual assistants that anticipate needs, those are the proactive EVAs. They prevent problems before they even occur. They say have already handled this. They are thinking 2 steps ahead always. You get? So you should be a proactive virtual assistant. A proactive executive virtual assistant. Let me give you an example. Your executive has a board meeting next Thursday. As a reactive VA, you are going to wait until Wednesday to ask, what do we need for the meeting? But as a proactive EVA, you would have looked at the calendar 2 weeks ago and thought, oh, okay, board meeting in 2 weeks. They will need the financial reports, last quarter matrix, probably an update on the 3 key initiatives that maybe the company is tracking. By Monday, the briefing document is done and it is in their inbox, like you've sent it to their inbox. That's the difference. And here is how you develop these skills. You keep a running list called things that will need to happen. You have to have a list. It can be maybe in a notepad, or maybe it can be a physical notepad, and it can be, a mobile one you can, take around and all of that on your laptop or so. You need to actually have that list, and most times, most of us, we have to do lists, so it is just like that. So as an executive virtual assistant, you should make being proactive an habit, and it is the habit that makes you worth the premium rate. Yes, it is the habit that makes you worth the premium rate. So now we want to talk about the ownership mentality. Ownership mentality. Okay, so I didn't put anything here. I was actually in a rush to make the slides. Ownership mentality. Hmm, hmm, hmm. This is going to, I'll be as honest as, as I can be. You don't say, um, you don't come up and tell your executive VA that you didn't tell me to do that, or you are just nonchalant. You feel it is not mine. So you as an executive VA, you should anticipate anything. And this is the ownership mentality. I know it is hard. It means that when something goes wrong, you don't point fingers, you own it, you fix it, and make sure it never happens again. Yeah. So you own your mistake. Nobody's above me. You own your mistake. You fixed them immediately. Then you create a system to prevent recurrence of such mistake. That's how you turn problems into progress, and that is how you have an ownership mentality. You treat the business as if it is your own business. Ask yourself, would you waste resources if it is your money? Would you let inefficiencies continue if it was your business? No. So don't accept them in your executive's business either. I'm sure that one thing that stood out for those people that got promoted as, a partner, as an HR specialist in the company they were working as an executive VA before, was because they had the ownership mentality. So the founder or the CEO would have seen that, okay, even without me, this person will still treat this business like it is theirs. You get. So you have to, protect resources, suggest improvements. If you see anything that, could be done better, speak up. Your executive hired you for your brain and not just your hands. They hired you for your brain. You should also care about outcomes beyond, your own specific tasks. You are not just managing the calendar, you are protecting time so strategies can be executed. You are not just organizing files, you are ensuring information is accessible when decisions need to be made. You are creating a sustainable system for them that even if you eventually leave them, you might leave them for different reasons. It might be because you got a better job, better offer, or you change career path or something, or you got promoted. So I can't imagine the person that got promoted as a partner and the person does not have a working system and all of that. Does that mean that when the founder hires another executive virtual assistant, the EVA, the new EVA, we have to always refer back to her because she didn't create a system? No, that's not how it is done. A system should, you should create a system that will outlive you, that even when you're not there, somebody else can easily take on that role and, scale. So this mentality is what separates good from great. And honestly, it's what make the work fulfilling. When you care this much, when you own outcomes this fully, you sleep well at night knowing you gave everything you had. So that is what ownership mentality is. In a layman language, taking it as it is yours, doing the business as it is yours. So now let's talk about professional boundaries. So this is where I need to balance what I just said with something equally important: boundaries. Because ownership doesn't mean you are available 24/7. Let's be very clear here about it. There's a difference between being available and being accessible. So you don't need to be available 24/7. That's a recipe for burn. But if you are available every hour of being burnt out is, inevitable. But you do need to be accessible during agreed hours. So as an EVA, you have a work duration. Okay, maybe it's 5 hours in a day. There's a particular, it's 12 to 5, or maybe it's in the morning, like 8 a.m. to so time, your 5 hours you get. So you have to set working hours and stick to them. If you work 9 to 5, be excellent during those hours. But don't feel guilty about logging off at 5. As a matter of fact, me, when I started, becoming so aware of who I am, what I bring to the table, and all of that, it is during interviews or maybe clarity calls after I've been hired and all of that. We talk about the hours. It's very, very important. And I'll state it clearly that I don't work outside work hours. And to the glory of God, I've always had understanding clients, you get. So you have to set clear work hours. Use tools like Slack, status, calendar blocking, and autoresponder to manage expectations. So maybe your executive sends you an email. Make sure you have that out of office responder, so they know that you have not seen it. You get. So set all these systems in place. Managing urgency. So we've spoken about availability, we've spoken about accessibility. Let's talk about managing urgency. Yeah, not everything urgent is actually important. It's very important you know that. People will create fake urgency all the time. Your job is to develop judgment about what is true emergency and what can wait until morning. So you can create an after hour protocol with your executive. What this is a conversation you should have with them when you're about to be hired, or you have already been hired, and there's a clarity call that needs to happen or something, you get. So you should create an after hour protocol with your executive. And what are you going to talk about? You talk about, okay, what constitutes a genuine emergency? Is it a server going down, or an investor just suddenly emails, or maybe someone wanting to schedule a meeting? So you should, obviously, someone suddenly wanted to schedule a meeting is not an emergency. An investor's email maybe, but a server going down is definitely an emergency. You get. So you define these boundaries early. Read my lips. Early. If you don't do it early, trust me, till you stop working with that client, you might not be able to do it again. So define the boundaries early, communicate them clearly, and enforce them consistently. So even there are some situations where you would have communicated it and all of that, but you know how these people do, how all these bosses do. They will still want to show you that, okay, I am the boss here. You get. I am the boss here. I say what happens. So you just, in a way, still enforce those things consistently. So as time goes on, they will actually get used to the fact that, okay, this lady or this person, my EVA does not work so time, you get. So good executives will actually respect this. If you are working with someone who doesn't, it's a red flag. Yes, that's a red flag about the long-term sustainability of that relationship. It's a red flag. So even before they lay you off or they tell you, I'm going on a break or something, because most of them, they don't say they are not interested in you again. They will say they are going on a break. They will say their business is going on a break. So even before they tell you all of that, you yourself, you would have started looking for, another role and all of that. So you can be exceptional at your work and maintain healthy boundaries. In fact, you must, because burnout serves no one. It serves no one. It serves no one. So let's move to module 3. And in module 3, we'll be talking about core skills every executive virtual assistant must master. So we have covered the identity and the mindset. So now let's get tactical. What are the actual skills you need to master? We're going to cover 5 core areas that every executive VA must be excellent at. And number 1 is calendar management at executive level. You see that I did not say calendar management alone. Calendar management at executive level. So there are levels to these things. Yeah. I know that before now you think calendar management is just filling time slots and doing all those basic things. That is for maybe if you are a general VA or an administrative VA. But executive calendars are strategic documents. You see that I even needed to move close to you because we are getting into the deep years. Executive calendars are strategic documents. You are not just scheduling meetings. You are architecting how your executive spends their most valuable resource, which is time. You have to be able to plan their week around highest priority work. If the number 1 priority this week is finishing the investor debt, then you need to block deep work time for that before anything else goes to the calendar. So I think I'm using some terms that maybe you might find difficult to understand and all of that. So here is me referring you back. If you remember, I told you how to, I don't know if everybody did it. I sent some links to some videos, to some basic videos on the classroom. So I told you how to actually to watch them. I told you to watch them because I knew that they are going to serve as the foundation for what we'll be talking about. You get? So I explained all of these things, deep work, prioritization, all of those things. I explained them in details in all of those videos. So it will help you if you actually go through it. So when there is something that needs finishing, like that okay, this thing we have to get it done, you create a deep work time for that before anything else goes on the calendar. So you block focus time for deep work. Most executives need 2 to 4 hours block where they are not interrupted by anything. They don't want to be interrupted by anything. So protect this block time like they are sacred, like, because actually they are. And another thing you can do is you batch similar meetings together. Don't scatter one on ones throughout the week. Put them all on. So say there's a meeting, there's a one-on-one meeting. Say you have like 5 one-on-one meetings and maybe other meetings. You see those one-on-ones, don't put one on Monday, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday. You can just put them on a day. One-on-one meetings takes maybe at most 1 hour. That's the highest it will take. In fact, most times it is 30 minutes, but let's just say at most 1 hour. So you put them in a day. So you can put them all on maybe a day in the morning, afternoon. You get. Don't have sales calls on 4 different days. Stack them together. So there are sometimes that it is basically sales, all about sales. Stack them together. This minimizes context switching. So there's a way our brain works for me, and that is what I do as well. Maybe I want to talk to people, like I have clarity sections. I prefer them to be on the same day because it will help me to not switch context. So I am talking about clarity. There is student A clarity, student B clarity. It even helps me like to be able to articulate my speech well and all. And if it is a day for sales or marketing or something, I batch it on the same day. So you should do this to them as well. So you build in transition time between different types of activities. If your executive has a tough negotiation call followed by maybe a team celebration, that's a setup for failure. So your team just finished a celebration or something, then you now schedule your executives tough negotiation call after that. He or she just finish, having fun and all of that. It might not really, you get. So I want to believe that you understand what I'm trying to say by, just knowing how to batch similar calls, building transition time and all of that. So this skill and another skill you need to develop as an EVA is declining meetings diplomatically. You need to. When someone requests time and it doesn't align with priorities, you say something like, given maybe Toby or Tola or Sarah's current priorities, she won't be able to attend the meeting. Would a brief written update serve your needs instead? Did you see that you did not decline them and say, sorry, we're not, you gave them another option. You're trying to save your executive time, the time he or she will use to, jump on that call. You're telling that person that you can, come up with a brief written update to help them. So you're not being rude, you're being protective. And that's your job. That's basically your job, you get. Another skill is inbox management. And this is where we talk about email, because most people think inbox management is just, organizing messages. No, it's not. It's actually decision making. So when you manage an executive inbox, you are filtering information and making decisions about what deserves their attention. And here is the system. Number one is that you archive or delete. Like, one of the ways you can help them with their inbox management is you archive or you delete. A huge percentage of email is irrelevant. Newsletters they've never read, for your information messages that don't need actions, meeting recaps for meeting they didn't attend. Get rid of it. Their inbox should contain only things that matter. So you can put this kind of emails in the archive, or you can delete newsletters, irrelevant emails, newsletters, all those what's it called? Yes, newsletters. Basically, you just unsubscribe from it. You get. Number two is undo independently. Draft responses for routine emails. Someone wants to schedule a meeting, you check the calendar and propose time. Someone asks a question you know the answer to. Answer it. You don't need to say, just answer it. Over time, your executive will simply forward messages with handle this, because they trust your judgment. So the step 3 is you flag for input. You can see it. You flag for input. So some emails need the actual decision like ASAP. So emails like new partnership opportunities, strategic questions, personnel issues. Flag these and brief them efficiently. Here's the situation. Here are the options. Here is what I recommend. What do you want to do? So you need to highlight these emails requiring the executive feedback, ensuring that critical issues are addressed promptly and immediately. You get. So the last is brief strategically. So for high priority items, don't just forward the email. Summarize the key points, add context, and suggest next steps. This makes it as easy as possible for them to make a decision. Remember that you are being paid, they are paying you for their time, so you have to get things done on their behalf. You think for them, you summarize things for them so that they can just easily look into it and get it done ASAP. So here is the key: every email that lands in their inbox should be there because it genuinely needs their attention. If you are doing this right, their inbox should be nearly empty by the time they see it. And this saves them hours every week, hours they can spend on actually important work. You get? So that is what inbox management has, decision making. So you are still doing email management, inbox management, but you are making that decision for them. Do you understand? I'll go over it again. You might ask, what are the decisions I am making in inbox management? You decide on, which emails to archive or delete. You decide on which email that needs to be handled independently. You decide on which emails you will flag as important for immediate input, and you also decide on emails that needs briefs, strategic briefs. So as soon as you are done with the briefs, you forward it to them so that it's very easy for them um to make a decision on. So that is all about inbox management. So we're moving to the next skill, which is communication on behalf of an executive. You see that these things are like major skills. They are major skills. Yeah. So we'll be talking about what makes a lot of new EVAs nervous. Yes, I've been there. Communicating on behalf of an executive. Do you remember the story I shared about my client that I attended the meeting and I was told to speak? So that is how it is. And as an executive virtual assistant, you are going to be speaking on behalf of your executive. There are times that you have to step into that role. So now you represent their voice, their judgment, their authority. That is a big responsibility. And you might ask, how do I now go about this thing? The first thing is that you need to study and mirror their communication style. Are they formal or casual? Do they write long, detailed emails or short, punchy ones? Do they use exclamation points or keep it serious? Pay attention and match their style. It is very important. All these things. You know how in basic VA trainings, they talk about attention to details. This is where it comes in. You have to be able to pay attention to details. It is when you pay attention to details, that is when you can actually help. That's when you can, succeeding in studying and mirroring their communication style. So you read through a month of their sent emails. That is how serious it is. You sit down with it and you read through it. Notice the pattern. Notice their word, their choice of words. Notice how they open and close messages. Then practice writing in that style until it becomes natural for you. You see that it is a whole lot of work. So if you are deciding to take up like 4 executives, you should know what you are you should know what you are putting yourself into. But I mean, if you can, there are some people that are pros. If you can just take it up, you get. Always clarify your role when communicating externally. You say something like on behalf of your executive, which is very, very true. I think I sent a mail to somebody in recent time and it was an executive VA that, responded to me. And it was there, on behalf of so person. You introduce yourself. My name is, if that is your first time of, talking to that person, you introduce yourself. My name is so. person, the executive virtual assistant to this. So you just say, on behalf of, then you go to what you want to talk, on behalf of so. Maybe it's that you reply to them later or something. You get. So this maintains transparency while establishing your authority to act. So people need to know you are not going, rogue. You're acting with the executive's full backing. And over time, you will internalize their voice so completely that people won't even realize they are not talking directly to your executive. That's when you know you have mastered these communication skills. So what you have to do is mirror their style for consistency, clarify on behalf of for clarity, then maintain transparency for trustworthiness. So the next skill is information management and documentation. Here is something that doesn't get talked about enough. Executives make better decisions when they have better information, and your job is to make sure they always have the information they need exactly when they need it. So you need systems for storing and retrieving critical information, meeting notes and decisions. What was decided in a meeting? Why was it decided? Who is responsible? You should have a document that has all of that. So maybe it is a project documentation. Let's know the status, the blockers, next steps, maybe contact details with context, not just phone numbers, but you can attach notes about the relationship the company or your executive has with the person. Last conversations, what matters to them, searchable archives, so nothing ever gets lost. So there are actually tools that can be used for all of these things. So next week we'll be talking about tools. So you don't need to worry that, is it this my head that I'm going to use to do all of these things? No, there are actually tools that make all of these things very, 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 very easy to achieve. So best practices, you should use consistent naming convention. If you save files as, meeting notes Monday, 1 week later, and there is another meeting on a Monday, we also save it as meeting notes Monday. You get? So you are going to mix it up. You are going to, one will get lost because your can ask you replace, keep or something. So either ways, if you replace, you have lost one. If you keep, you're having two. You might not be able to differentiate. You get? So you have to have a consistent naming convention. You can use the date of that day, then you attach, maybe it's a board meeting or something, you attach it to it and you stick to it. You can also create logical folder structures. Someone should be able to find any document in 3 clicks or next. That's you, creating system that actually outlives you. Creating systems that outlives you. You get? Use documentation templates. If you are taking meeting notes, use the same format every time. So you yourself, you have to come up with a format for that particular executive. If you are doing project updates, use the same structure. Consistency makes information accessible. I would use this, this a personal experience. So I don't know why, but I forget things a lot these days. So the only thing that helps me is I have a consistent pattern I follow. Yes. So when I see this already and I can see this pattern, in fact, I know which client it is. So I don't use a pattern here, another one, and at the end of the day, I am confused that, okay, what is happening here? So it's very important that you actually have a type of pattern that you follow. It's going to make your job very easy. It's going to make your job very easy. So you might ask, what is the goal? The goal is to make sure that your executive should never hear themselves say, where is this so document from last quarter or from last year or from even last week? You should not hear them say that, because you have made it so easy to find. They have made it so easy for them to find, and they can put their hands on it anytime, any day. Yes. So trust me, you don't want to go through the chaos way, because chaos is actually expensive. It is expensive. You don't want to go through the chaos way. So now we're moving to module 4. We're moving to module 4, and what we're talking about the executive presence as a remote professional. So we're in the home stretch, and here we'll be talking about how you show up, your presence, your communication, your brand, because you can have all the skills in the world, but you don't show up professionally. Yes. So that's what I want to talk about in this module. Executive presence online. Let's talk about, that, because it is more than you just appearing professionally. It's about being taken seriously. It's about commanding respect. Yeah. Executive presence means being composed, prepared, and credible. Here is what it looks like in practice. So this is basically how you show up online. Let's just get that. Don't mix, the English I'm using. You might feel, okay, what are we talking about? It's just basically how you show up online when you're on calls with them, all of those things. So when you're on call with your executive, you maintain eye contact on video calls. That means you are looking into the camera, not at the screen. It might feel weird at first, but it makes a huge difference in how people perceive you. They even say this a lot, so that when you are meeting somebody, even physically, you maintain eye contact. There's a way it adds to how people actually perceive you. Professional background and attire. If you can't, come up with a virtual background like the one you can see behind me, you should have a good background, maybe like an artwork, not an artwork that has somebody that is half naked. Don't do that. An artwork of maybe nature, or or something motivational. You get. So you can just have that. But to be on the safe side, you can just have something like this. Put your brand name. If you don't have a brand name, there are also a lot of artwork you get. So your environment matters. You don't need a fancy home office. Actually, you don't. What if you can't afford one yet? You get. So it's not basically about having an home office. You just need clean words behind you, good lighting, professional clothing. Dress for the level you want to work at. So at most, you can put on a shirt. I mean, they are going to be seeing just, can put on a shirt or a round neck. Make sure you are, not necessarily that you are on makeup and all of that, but you are looking good, you get. So speak clearly and concisely. Don't ramble. Don't use filler words too much. I'm even still guilty of that. Any small thing we're like, actually, you get. So practice speaking in complete, coherent sentences. All of these things, Rome is not built in a day. It comes with consistent practicing, you get. So, but there are things that you should actually hold very dear and you are intentional about. No unnecessary apologies or diminishing language. Stop saying just checking in. Are you talking to your boyfriend? Or no, you don't need all of that. Or sorry to bother you. Those are not professional words to use at all. Or you say, sorry, sir, this might be a stupid question. No, this might be. No, don't say that. These phrases make you seem small and unsure and unprofessional. When you are talking to someone, you state the purpose directly, straight up. You get. Another I want to make another example of what diminishing language sounds like. You can come up and say, I was just wondering if you maybe might have time to possibly look at this document when you get a chance. No, you are straightforward. Please review this document by Friday and share any concern. You are not being rude. You are being professional. So you see the difference. One sounds tentative and apologetic, like it's not that you are doing your job. The other sounds confident and clear. Confident and clear. So executive presence isn't about being loud or dominating the room. It's about being calm, clear, and confident. It's about showing up as someone who knows their value and expects to be treated accordingly. Yeah. So let's move on. Excuse me. Writing like an executive. So now we'll drill into written communication specifically because most of your work will be in writing. And here is what weak writing looks like. So you are saying something like, or you're writing something like, I was just wondering if, or sorry to bother you, but when you get a chance, you get, or you just saying things with that does not have a point, you get. But when you are writing like an executive, you are confident, you are clear, you are direct. Please review by Friday. I need your input on this. You say something and you are like, action is required by EOD. EOD is end of day. Clear, concise, and purposeful. The rule is simple. You get to the point in the first sentence. Every email should pass this test. When someone reads your first sentence, they should be able to know exactly what you need from them. So use short paragraphs, use bullet points for multiple items. Eliminate unnecessary words. You don't need it. It is when you are gisting with your friends, you should be doing all of that. So instead of you saying that I wanted to reach out to touch base and see if we could potentially set up a meeting to discuss the proposal that was sent over last week, if it's too long, you could have just said, please review the proposal sent January 10 and let me know your decision by January 15. Happy to discuss if you have questions. Yeah, that is more clearer and straightforward. So, and adjust formality based on context. An email to a board member might be more formal than a Slack message to a team member. That is what we should. When you are gisting with your team member or a team member that you are not even so acquainted with, you might not be able to write freely to them. You still maintain that professional way of writing. So we should be able to, differentiate this. It's very important that we're able to differentiate this. So let's move to the next slide. That's managing meetings professionally. Managing meetings professionally. When you are running meetings on behalf of your executive, you need to own the room, even if that room is on Zoom or Google Meet or any other communication, what's it called? Start on time, number one. Number two, no exceptions. If someone is late, start without them. This trains people that your meeting respects their time. So you should not keep some people waiting because you are waiting for some people that have joined late. No. Follow the agenda religiously. You see why you need to have meeting agendas. So you have the meeting agendas, you send it in advance, you put it in the calendar invite, you reference it at the start of the meeting and use it to keep things on track. You get? So these are like non-negotiable acts you should put in place. Facilitate discussions. Don't dominate. You should be able to hear from other people. When you talk about something, ask them for their own input. Your job is to actually guide the conversation, not to do all the talking. You get? So you draw out those, quiet voices. There are some people in the meeting room that they don't talk, they will not try to just, and not in a rude way, polite way. If they say they don't have anything to say, please just respect that. Don't poke them. You get? Redirect tangents, as in keep things moving. So maybe there's somebody that is already going out of line. You redirect them back to, the meeting agenda, so that things can keep moving. Capture clear action items. By the end, everyone should know exactly what they are responsible for and by when. So you should have clear call to actions. It's very important, so that the meeting does not just go like that and everybody does not know what they are supposed to, turn in at the end. We get? So so I was talking about having clear call to action. Yes, very important. So you should end your meeting decisively with next steps. That is, the call to action. Don't let your meeting end without, having a clear call to action. So note that if you are attending meetings with your executive, clarify your role in advance. Yes, it's very important. Are you there to take notes? Are you there to handle logistics? Are you there to contribute to discussion? Know what's expected so you can deliver it. Know what is expected so that you can deliver it. Personal branding as an executive virtual assistant. So let's talk about something most VAs don't think about, and that is your personal brand. So your reputation extends beyond your current clients. You should have a professional LinkedIn presence, not a resume dump, a presence that actually showcases your expertise. You share insights about productivity, operations, remote work. Position yourself as someone who thinks deeply about this work. Highlight your executive support expertise. Don't just say virtual assistant, say executive operation specialist or chief of staff to executive leader, or something that signals your level. Trust me, you're not the same with administrative VAs or customer support VAs. And note something as well. Don't call yourself what you are not. I said it. I can't imagine you calling yourself an executive virtual assistant and maybe a client sees you and they hire you, and at the end of the day you are not performing up to what is expected. So you should be sure that you are capable of doing these things before you attach that title to yourself. So you build a reputation as a serious professional in a specialized field, because that's what you are. So that is about you building your brand. Now, to maintain discretion, here's a flip side. Never ever vent about clients publicly. You should not even, your common sense will even tell you not to do that. You can't do that. Never ever vent about clients publicly. Not on LinkedIn, not on Twitter, not on Facebook groups, not anywhere. Everything you write lives forever. You know now, you know how they say the internet does not forget. So don't do that. Don't do that. Don't think because okay you just have 100 connections on LinkedIn, or you have 50 followers on X, or you don't even have any follower on Facebook or Instagram, I can write anything I want, nobody is saying. Don't make that mistake. Never vent about your executive or their business on social media, even in Slack, in email, so even in what you think are private messages. Screenshots exist though. Nothing is actually truly private. So please don't do that. Maintain a calm, professional tone in all communication, even when you are frustrated, especially when you are frustrated. You have to learn how to be calm. You have to learn how to be calm. I know of somebody that she was working with a Pakistan, and I think that was even what changed my perspective about working with Pakistans. They're actually good ones amongst them, yeah. And she was working with that person normally, but on the long run, the guy started making some very funny requests from her and all of that. And the lady just, left and all of that. The guy even took her money. He didn't pay her money. But we were in a group, like there was a virtual assistant community. So the lady told the coach and all of that. So the coach was just trying to share how we should go about those kind of clients and all. So the coach just told her to let go of the money and all of that, because the guy has everything can use against her. She signed an NDA form. So if she goes on social media or anything, trying to say anything, the guy can easily say, oh, she did not, she breached the contract, the NDA agreement and all of that, and she'll be the one to pay for it. So she had to let go. So for the sake of your own brand, yeah, for the sake of your own brand, you're just starting out. So think about the years to come. For the sake of your own brand, you have to maintain a calm, professional tone, and you keep a lot of things private. So your presence, you represent your executive in every interaction. Your professionalism reflects on them. Every message, every meeting, every decision either builds or erodes trust. So even beyond your own personal brand, if just think that they are being dragged on social media right now or something about something, do you know that your executive, that will in a way affect your executive as well, and they are going to pull out, you get? So your brand is your reputation, and your reputation is your career. So you have to protect it fiercely. You have to protect it fiercely. I hear of people calling their social media accounts their baby, because it's actually their babies. Yes, a lot of work has gone into it. I remembered how I felt when my Instagram account got disabled. It was a whole lot for me, because a lot of things have gone into that Instagram account. I've not been able to, I'm still struggling to build back now. Yes. So you have to, that's even, being disabled, or not being dragged on something that is not, you get? So it's very, very important that you take your personal branding very seriously as a as an executive virtual assistant. So what are the key takeaways? What are the key takeaways? We've covered a lot, so let's try to bring it all together. I'll just be reading this out actually. I'll be reading this out. So being an executive virtual assistant is about thinking strategically, acting proactively, and protecting what matters most. So you think like an executive before you act. You think like an executive, and before you act, you ask what outcome does it serve? How does it align with priorities? What would my executive decide? You remember that we spoke about this. We also said that we should act with ownership, have the ownership mentality. You should own mistakes and fix them immediately. Treat the business like it is yours. We also talk about trust, that you have to build trust daily. Confidentiality, discretion, judgment, integrity, these are not optional. They are the foundation of everything. Protect their time and energy. That's your primary job. Everything else serves these goals. And you build a respected career, not just a job, but a career where you are valued, where you are essential, where you make a real impact on businesses and executives who lead them. So this is basically the foundation of being an executive virtual assistant. Everything else we cover in the coming weeks build on what you have learned today. Master this foundation and everything else become very, very easy. So I'll be taking questions. You can drop your questions in the chat box. I'll be taking them. I'll be taking them. I'll be taking them. I'll be taking them. So that will be all for today. So we'll be taking questions now. You can also drop your questions in the classroom. Yeah. So see you in the classroom and subsequently in class by next week. And there you have it. I trust that you had a great time during the class, and I trust that you made sure you jotted things down. Make sure you ask your questions. I'll be available to answer them in details. See you next week. Bye.